Joining me now, Grace Morrison, one of the Montgomery County parents suing the school board. She was at the oral arguments today at the court. Also joining me, Ian Pryor, old friend, senior advisor from America First Legal. The group filed an amicus brief in support of the parents. Grace, let's start with you. And I mentioned it in the angle, but even Justice Kagan, who's, can be somewhat moderate on some of these issues. She's not a dumb person. She's very smart. Seemed concerned with young children being exposed to these types of books. Were you surprised to hear that from her?
I wasn't surprised because what I see out in the community is what I saw in the courtroom today, that this is a majority issue. Most people don't think we should be indoctrinating and pounding our children with these materials in the name of love and respect. And I saw that same concern, that she raised from her. So I would expect to see that.
Yeah, well, my staff actually went out and bought these books today, so I had the chance to go through them. First of all, it's bad writing, and it's so warped, Ian. You and I have talked about this before. It's so bad, it's so warped. It's so obvious what they're doing. There was a moment, though, during oral arguments that I think sums up how absurd and inane this whole case is. Watch.
Pride Puppy was the book that was used for the pre-kindergarten curriculum. That's no longer in the curriculum.
That's the one where they are supposed to look for the leather and things and bondage, things like that.
It's not bondage. It's a woman in a leather.
Sex worker, right?
No, that's not correct. No.
I read it.
It's a drag queen.
Drag queen and drag
correct.
queen.
The leather that they're pointing to is a woman in a leather jacket. And one of the words is drag queen in the circle.
And they're supposed to look for those.
It is an option at the end of the book.
Ian.
I mean, it's kind of hard not to laugh, but because it's not funny, it's serious, but it just shows the absurdity of the arguments. And there were a lot of moments in this oral argument that I thought were fascinating. For example, Montgomery County Public Schools, one of the school board members said something at one of these meetings about how, you're just going to use religion to hide your bigotry, because these school board members think they're untouchable. Well, that school board member, her conversation to a parent at that meeting became a central focal point at Supreme Court oral arguments on this monumental case. So I think people that are on school boards that think they're untouchable and that they get elected and that the only thing that matters is whether they get reelected, no, that's not the case. You're going to find your comments played at the Supreme Court of the United States.
But you know what I love about this is that because so many parents feel like they can't, you can't fight City Hall. What are you going to do? Because you want the recommendation, or you don't want to be the parent that always kicks up a fuss, right? That never bothered me, by the way, Grace, but it does bother some people. But the fact that you all fought this, you got Ian and other groups to support you, and they no longer can do this with impunity. Parents are not going to put up with this. You will not take our children and try to twist their minds around whatever sexual agenda you have. We're not going to let it happen.
Yes, I agree. I know in our situation, we have a daughter who was adopted from Ukraine as an infant. She was in the schools from the age of 3 till 10, and we found out that she was in her special needs class. They were presenting these materials. I had a good relationship with the teacher, but then I approached her and said, I have to, opt out my child. This isn't appropriate. It's opposed to our faith and what I believe she can handle. And I was told, no, there's no more opt-outs. There is no more notification. So the wall went up. I went to the principal, and I was told, talking about diversity, I was told that there was no room for my daughter in the public school system if I wouldn't adhere to this policy.
Yeah, they don't want your daughter. They don't want anyone who's traditional. They want to push every Christian, every Muslim with any traditional understanding out of the public school. Well, good luck. I don't know how that public school is actually going to actually work out. Another book, Ian, at issue here is called Born Ready. It's about a girl named Penelope who wants to tell her family that inside she's a boy. No propaganda there. If they'd all stop and listen, I'd tell them about me. Inside, I'm a boy. Ian, young kids, impressionable kids, maybe sensitive kids, read that. And we don't know how they take that in, but there is an agenda with that line. Period. Full stop.
Yeah, I mean, that's absolutely the case. And I think when you look at what Montgomery County Public Schools is doing here, and the justices talked about it, in health class, for example, this stuff can be taught, but you can opt out of health class because of state law. So what MCPS does is they take these books and they put it in English class, where you can't opt out. So you can opt out in health class because legally you're required to, but we're gonna sneak this into English and history and whatever, and we're gonna make it part of what they are, essentially indoctrinated with, and you don't get a choice. Now, one of the things that I think Justice Kagan said was there were so many people opting out. Well, great. Let's see that happen, and let's see how long they continue to do this when the entire class opts out.
Yeah. Well, yeah, again, they want to be in charge, they want to control, and this is why, everyone watching tonight, this is why in your state, if you don't already have educational choice, like you have in Florida, like you have in Texas, have in South Dakota, other states, Tennessee, you gotta get it, because these schools have to go away. Either get with the program of parental rights, or they'll just wither on the vine. So that's why parental choice in education, another important reason. Grace and Ian, thank you for bringing us inside the courtroom. We really appreciate it. And Mexico is still sending us literal, you know what, you fill in the rest. EPA Administrator Lee Zeldin is here with an update, and it's rather smelly. Next.